Hey guys, welcome to the Life Agency Builders podcast. My name is Julius Gilgur.
And I'm Clay Sweet.
And we are the co-hosts of this new podcast. The goal of this podcast is for us to learn from other top life agency builders, basically agency owners in the life insurance space. And today we have our man, Dave Whichard, on with us today. You there, my man?
I'm here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. So let's kind of start off to give the viewers some context. So last month, you had 519 agents get paid for $2.8 million in commission in 1 month. Now, how long have you been here? How long have you been in the business, I should say? How long have you been in life insurance?
So I've been in the business over 20 years, and I started with a captive company, basically door to door, no leads or anything like that, and just literally cold calling, selling, I sold accident policy actually, and just getting referrals and things like that. And with that particular company, huge philanthropist who ran that company, started back in 1919 without saying names and stuff, but so I got in the business. I just didn't think of anything. Insurance wasn't for me. Like, I just didn't think it was for me, right? But when I said in the interview, which I stood the guy up the first time, it's kind of a funny story. But then the second time I went, I said, let me check this thing out. And but he started talking about accidents. And my mom said as soon as I took my first step, I never stopped running. I had 5 cuts across my forehead before I was 5. That's true, Clay. And I've had, knee surgeries. I mean, just had all these different things that have happened to me playing football, whatever, just always getting hurt. So I just believed, if I believed that, I'm like, why wouldn't somebody get this? And so I was in at that point, and I was with them for, I'll try to be as short as I can, but about 2 years. I was sales manager in like 2.5 months. I had a different system, but I moved up quickly. I was a district manager because at that time I hadn't made 6 figures, and I was like, hey, I want to make 6 figures. He said, well, you got to be a district manager. Like, well, how do I do that? And there was these goals. We had to write all these goals, and you got to get out there and work, Mm-hmm. And so I did, and I just, honestly, Julius, just outworked people. And, I think people thought I was doing something, crazy in the beginning. They were like, what is he doing? Like, I'm working, dude. Like, I think they thought I was faking it or something, but it was crazy. So we were a district manager. I moved my family 3 times in a year by promotions to different cities. And then I wanted to come back home to take care of some family stuff, actually here in the Roanoke area. And the corporate ladder says no. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's God, family first for me, and then, business. And so I was on the way out that door at that point. And then another company came calling. I was with them for 19 years, actually. Again, door to door. And we sold, cancer and different things like that. So I was in the supplemental industry for the better part of 20 years.
So what had you switch from captive to non-captive? Like, what was the motivation? What was your thought? Were you scared? Were you hesitant? Because I'm sure there's going to be tons of viewers that are currently captive right now that are looking to possibly make the jump, but maybe they just haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah, I think, I don't think I really understood, to be honest. I just remember, it's kind of like, I hate to say a cult, but it's like you're in this place where you think everything's happy and good, but it's really not. Like you feel like it's warm and fuzzy because you're so-called friends and family and whatever. But at the end of the day, no one's really making any money except for very few people, and most of those are corporate. I mean, they're getting paid way more. And there's a few agency owners, which I was one, but the system was flawed, meaning that I couldn't. I didn't have enough comp. I mean, I was getting 70% at the highest level you could really get. And so if I hired you, I mean, to be fair, 30%, 40%, whatever. And Julius, I wanted to build the agency that way. Like, if I hired you and you were Clay, was your friend, I'd bring you in at 50, like now, because I know your experience. And I'd say, well, let's put Clay at a 40 because you're training him, you get 10%. But then you got to remember, to build a profitable agency, you had to keep 20%, which is weird. And if you did better, I'd want to move you up. And I did. So it was almost a hurt me. Right. But when I guess the answer to the question, it's just, you think that you're in this good place and people are comfortable. And I think sometimes you got to get uncomfortable. When I started looking, I didn't understand it. I mean, I knew what a broker was, if you will. I knew that my vision as a broker was some of the bigger companies you see on the side of the road where you walk in and there's one guy who makes all the money and he's got three staff. Like, I didn't understand that there could be this brokerage where you could build multiple agencies, if you will. And so I looked into it a lot and prayed about it. And at the end of the day, we had to make a decision. We could keep going down the same road we'd done for so long, and eventually it would have worked out, I'm sure. But it was just spinning my wheels, man. I had some residuals coming in, which I lost. And I think that's the thing. It's almost like it's like putting handcuffs on you, man. Like, why would you stay at a company that's going to control your life? But yet they tell you, here's the funny thing. The contract that you sign, supposedly, it says independent contractor. Okay, so independent to me means I'm able to do what I want to do. You don't own me. But when you go to do it, there's all these threats. We're going to hurt your family. You're leaving us. But wait a minute. I came here to help my family. I came here to help other people. So, it was a struggle, dude. I mean, but I think it was more about me being comfortable, even though I wasn't, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't making any money. My people weren't making any money. And I had to change something. Sometimes change is hard. So I would challenge, if you're watching this, you need to do your own due diligence. Don't listen to the people you're working with, because believe me, if you leave, they lose money. And that's all they care about. I mean, I'm just being real. They do. Because when you leave and then they don't like you, why? They liked
So
me when I was working hard for them. I mean, you know.
So the you come to a new opportunity and the handcuffs come off, so to speak, to use your analogy from a little bit ago. So you decide that you want to build this thing, right? You have the right vehicle, you have plenty of comp, you're not having to really hurt your agents that you're bringing on. And so I remember we had a conversation, I think it was about a couple of years ago, and you had just kind of come in and said that you really wanted to build this thing. So I'm really curious as to, how did you put together something that I've struggled with, and I think a lot of us have, is staff. So when in the beginning, when you decided you wanted to grow this thing, how did you structure staff? How did you kind of structure your business to allow for the growth that happened? Because let's just be real, in the last couple of years, your agency has exploded. So, what kind of staffing did you put together? Like, how many recruiters do you have? How do you structure your staff, Dave?
That's a great question. So, Clay, to be transparent about it, I had staff at the other company. So when I became an agency owner there, right, I had the same mindset as I did here. Like, we broke a record for recruits that first year. That was my goal. My goal was to grow as fast as anyone. My goal was to build. I wasn't afraid of spending money, if you will. The difference was the system was different. I couldn't go in the field. They wanted us to recruit all the time, which is what I did. So I had to hire staff in order to multiply that. And so I was used to having staff. So when I came here, that wasn't abnormal for me to have staff. Like, it was just, but the neat thing here and what I was able to do was able to go sell at a high level and get, $40,000-$50,000 a month coming in. And I was like, ooh, this is cool. So the first 3 months where I'm at now, I wrote $100,000. Like, that literally paid off a lot of credit card debt that I had with the previous company, because that's all it was. You just kept going in debt, going in debt, going in debt. And then they own you and you got to pay that back. Right. So, and then in February of 2020, I happened to go to a convention that we had, and I left that, hired my first staff March 15th of 2020. So that's really when we started to build. Like, this is really a business. Like, I had, I think, 3 or 4 agents and at that time, and we went from March to October, 7, 8 months, whatever that is, to 1 million, like, in a month. And I was like, 1 million in a month? Like, I just didn't believe that could happen, because I was doing, I mean, if we were doing good over there, 1 million plus was good. Like, that's crazy in a year. And now we're almost doing it in a week in some way. In some weeks we submit that much business, which is nuts to me.
So Dave, let me ask you this. Let me go a little bit deeper. But how do you have your staff set up right now? Like, how what kind of structure do you have? How many recruiters do you have? What do you have as a setup? Just to let the viewers that are really trying to build an agency, what a top level agency builder, what that structure looks like.
So I'm in my office now. We have one guy. We have 3 recruiters, 3 full-time recruiters, and so one of them was my original staff, and I found that he's really good at a lot of things. but he's best at that. So he does that about 85-90% of the time. He helps me with a few things in the office, just with his help at the beginning. Then I have a contractor who handles all the new agents that come in and getting them appointed with the carriers and things like that. And then I have a social media. That's all she does full time. Social media, posts, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, whatever platforms, goes on LinkedIn, all that stuff. And then I have a gal that was also a recruiter. She can still recruit, but mostly what she does is help me with some stuff because I do travel and different things. But I hate to say assistant, but that's really what she does. But she also oversees the business too, along with Aaron. She looks at the pipeline management. My staff is set up, and I may have shared this with you guys, but literally we have a call with our admins and our recruiters for the whole organization every week. Now, they don't run them every time. Matter of fact, we want to empower people. So we do that with staff too. Each week they change that out. So we welcome anybody to learn from that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate you deep diving.
So Dave, you guys, I heard you say you transitioned your staff that you had already, right? So you had some staff at the other place, you brought them over here. And I think one thing that we brushed over is you went from captive to non-captive and going from selling supplemental insurance to selling, a wide variety of life insurance products, right? Can you, for the viewers here, what are some of the other advantages or benefits, maybe is a better way to say it, that you got by changing the business you're in, that helped you grow your business, right? So outside of supplemental to full life broker, what are some of the other advantages you went from being captive to non-captive and being independent?
Well, it access, way more carriers, because obviously if you're a captive company, you have one company that you're dealing with. So we open up that, that spectrum of, however many carriers you want to have. I mean, we have access to probably 30 plus. Going back to staff, actually none of those staff except for one came from the other company, and actually hired her 2 months in because we posted a Facebook ad and she's like, I want to come back. And she worked with me at the other company. And I'm like, if she's serious, bring her back. I think she was joking, but no, she does our contracting now. Everybody else was new through Facebook, just so you know. But I think it was just opening up that. So I remember being in the field and and I was selling life insurance to a client. And I remember being able to save them money on their Medicare, for example. And I didn't sell much of that, but I just had it available. I remember that. Just having those extra products available for people. Not that we're a one-stop shop, because I don't really want to be that. I wrote a couple annuities, just didn't do much of it, but we have them available. If I run into somebody who has money, I can do that. But what we really focus on is the life side, because the commission is so high. That's the other thing too for me, Julius, is I stayed in supplemental for so long because I thought it was the one way I could get paid fast. Like I'd go out, even though I was getting paid less comp, I'd write it on Monday and I get paid, that week, whereas with life insurance, my experiences was, you come to my house, you take my blood, I got to wait 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever to get paid. I mean, it was a long time in most cases. But I didn't understand was, when I talked to my mentor now, he was like, simplified issue. I'm like, what is that? And he's like, well, you actually go into a home and you sit down with somebody and they're approved on the spot and you get paid in 24 to 40 hours. I'm like, that's when he had me like, what? Like, how does that work? You're going to pay me that and I'm going to double my commissions, or have the potential of doubling my commissions, let's just say. And it's like one of my buddies says, Eric says, use a calculator, right? And I use the calculator enough to realize that I could do the same work hard, create an income to, like you said, hire staff and have access to all these great carriers. So I could really, because I would go in a home and we had one life product, Julius, and if I walked in your house and you couldn't get covered, what was I going to do? I had to refer it out. Here, I don't do that. Like we get just about any single person covered, which it just gives you a peace of mind knowing you can do the best for the client.
Awesome. So starting your agency, what were 2 or 3 key things you did to really kind of explode, right? Because you've grown at a much faster pace than most people in the insurance space have. So what would you say the 2 or 3 things you did to really explode your agency in the beginning?
Well, number one, I had the benefit of some great people that I could reach out to learn this side of the business.
Do you mean from your
And
old
so I did
company?
know this company.
Oh, okay.
So I reached out to them, learned from them, right? So I was grateful for a lot of people laying the path, if you will, right? I wasn't afraid. I'm never afraid of hard work. I'll put my work ethic up against anyone. Like, one of my mentors likes to say, we think that we don't sleep much, but yet there's guys who are in the army that don't sleep for 24 hours. Like, they don't eat. Like, so my point is, I wasn't afraid of hard work. And I just always wanted to help people. Probably getting off track here a little bit. And so, what was the original question again? I'm sorry.
2 to 3
Oh,
things that helped you explode your agency when you
okay.
started growing.
So I think it's duplicatable. It's being duplicatable, right? It wasn't like, hey, look at me, I'm this dude. I'm not. I mean, I think I'm decent with people. Like, I can sell whatever, but I don't think I had to be this extraordinary salesperson to be successful at what we do. It just came through running numbers. I never had leads before. I never had access to leads. They would never talk about it. I wonder why. Because it works better. Instead of knocking on somebody's door I don't know and trying to get in their door the smooth way. It's not that I haven't done that some here because I had a referral or had a lead that I wanted to make sure I resolved. But having leads and not being afraid to invest money was big. I wasn't afraid to invest in staff. So I would say that would be important to have someone who could support me while I was out in the field doing what I had to do, take care of clients, take care of the carriers and things like that. And then I think getting out on social media right away and not being afraid to share incomes, because it's not about, hey, look at me, I'm making all this money. It was, hey, I can change Julius's life. If Julius sees this or Clay sees this and they're out here getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, shoveling their kids off to their family's house, they got holes in their car. The other car barely runs. It's cold, and they got to figure out how to get there, and they go work at some job, 50 hours a week, some job they hate, to come home. They're stressed out, arguing with their wife over money because they have none, all this stuff. But yet I'm afraid not to put up that I made 30 grand. Like, so we started to put that out there, show the real deposits. That's the other thing I love about what we do is that we can show you. You want to see my deposit? I'll show it to you. You want to see my bonus? I'll show it to you. You want to see, the commissions that our team makes? I'll show it to you. It's so funny, Julius, that one of the things I've heard people say, and I hope I got there. So staff, invest, and making it duplicatable. So I would take pictures when I was in the homes, sharing with my agents I was hiring. Hey, look, I'm doing what you're doing. We dialed the phone together on Mondays and Thursdays and do those things. So, we're in the trenches with them. It's not like, hey, Julius, go do this, but I'm not going to do that. I don't know how you lead like that. So those are the things we did. And then I just found people that were willing to listen. Like, what I mean by is, if you came to me and said, how do I be successful? I said, well, Julius, are you teachable or coachable? You would say, yes. Okay. Are you willing to do this, this, and this? Yes. Dave, I will do whatever you were going to do. Okay, great. That's what I'm looking for. And so we found a lot of people that would duplicate what we were doing. And we just learned it from other people. I just didn't reinvent the wheel. I just didn't. And the mentors I ask questions to, as you've heard me say before, if I'm going to ask you a question, I'm going to go apply it. I'm not going to question it. Right. But yeah, did that answer your question?
So let me piggyback off what you kind of mentioned, and we were going to bring this up, but you are notorious for being in the 4 a.m. club. So I just kind of want you to speak to that, and just what kind of edge do you feel like that gives you compared to other, agency owners, business owners? How much more of what you can accomplish in a day when you're waking up that early, and kind of what that's done for you? Because I think that's really, people underestimate how much you can get done when you're waking up at 4 a.m. So can you just touch on that, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, I did it this morning. Had an early flight and goes off at 4. I'm out of bed. I mean, I just 4:15. It's a cycle. I have a thing goes off, and then 4:15 I'm out of bed at the latest. But it's really right there at that 4 o'clock time. But I want to be moving by 4:30, meaning dressed, ready to work out or whatever it is I'm going to do. I think here's the thing. I think if you really want to test it out, do it for a while and then get up at 7 and then go, what the crap? Because there are some days where my wife, she looks after me. I'm human. Hey, you need to rest a little bit, whatever. Usually it's a Friday because we have a date night. Like she's like, hey, I need some time. Make sure you have energy for me. I'm just saying, I'm just being real. Like, so, but when I do and I get up and then there's all this stuff I got to do, I'm like, where's my day? Like it's gone because there's so many little things I'm able to get done in that 2.5, 3 hour window before everyone else wakes up that I don't get done. And so I have to carry it over. Now it's 9, 10 before I'm getting that stuff done. I don't mean you got to get up at 4, but if you're getting up after 6, I just don't know what you're thinking because you're just losing so much time. And God, if you have kids, why wouldn't you? Like, I don't have young kids. Like I'm just saying, but if I had young kids, I would certainly want to do that because you have time to read the Bible if you want to, or read a book or listen to something, or just have some time you need, and it just makes life better. I think. I don't know what we're going to do. Sleep ourselves. We can sleep when we die. The way I see it. Eventually we are, right? We are going to. I don't mean like you don't need any. I'm just saying I don't think we need 8.
Yeah. So Dave, building a large agency in the life insurance space, life insurance is what we sell, but this is a people business. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
So growing your agency, you have tons of leaders, right? How do you identify, if you're growing an agency, how do you identify who those leaders are that you want to build with and help them build their agency with you?
I think it's there's tests I think you do with people. I'm not that, but even when I first hire someone, it's asking them to do simple tasks to see if they're able to get them done in a timely manner. Now, I'm not saying I'm the most more organized. I'm not. But if I tell you I'm going to get something done, I usually do it. If just like, today being on this call, I gave you my word I'd be here. So I'm going to be here. So there's just certain little things along the way through the processes that you can just see that fire in somebody's eye and understand they really want to change their family's life. So I'm really looking for that. I think one of the things I try to get better at every day, and we're always trying to get better every day. I think that's the other thing I try to do every day is how can I become better for me so I can help others. And so I think people that care for people is big. It's not about them. They're humble in their own ways and they're looking for you to help them. They're just looking for guidance. They're not afraid of hard work. There's certain people that are more analytical than me, ask way more questions than me, and some of them are really good. So I have to have patience in that area, which is hard for me. But having great systems in place, if they just, were to plug in and do the things they need to. But really, I'm just looking for someone that wants to change their life. And really, I think we have to do it. I know I have to do a better job of asking what their why is and about their families. And if I can really dig into that, then I have something that I can help hold in front of that. All the leaders I've ever been with that I respected did that with me. Like, where do you want to see yourself in 6 months, a year? What do you want to change about your family's life? Where do your kids want to go to school? What kind of home would you like to live in? And it's not about materialistic things. That's not what I'm saying. But, money is it's money. Like it's what you do with it, it matters. But it also allows us, if we make enough, right, that we can give back more. We had a situation last night where, we lost an agent, like within our company. I didn't hesitate for a second. I texted my wife. I'm like, hey, how much do we get? Like I had just being transparent. I'll just do this. Like, and so she said, Dave, can you please ask me from now on? Like, because, and I'm not saying she has to approve, but it's like, let's be on the same page here because we do give a lot back. But I think that's, I'm just looking for somebody who wants to care for people and afraid of hard work. And I think, Julius, you can find that out early on. I don't think you give up on people because we hire a lot of people. Everybody has their own time frame. But if you see that fire, you got to really spend time with them in the beginning. You know what I mean? Have those phone calls, be there with them when they're in the homes, answer their questions, 9 o'clock at night when they get done, make sure you're there for them to pick them up a little bit, early in the morning. And by the way, by showing us the leadership, by doing it ourselves, we watch them follow us. And I think, you got to be a good follower to be a good leader, right? In my mind. And so if I'm following someone else and learning from them and I'm passing that along, I'm just looking for people that want to do that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for pouring into us and joining us and sticking to your word and being on here with us. We definitely got a lot of good nuggets to help us build our agency. And that's the point of this call, right? Is me and Clay haven't figured it out, right? We're working on it. We're learning from people like you and other agency leaders. So thank you for pouring into us. Definitely going to take what you shared with us and implement and apply it just like you said. And so guys, if you're finding value in this, you reach out to Dave. You can reach out to us if you guys have any questions. Dave, again, thank you so much. Click like, follow, subscribe. We're going to continue to put more episodes out and continue to reach out to other agency leaders to continue to help us grow our business and give back to you guys. So thank you so much, Dave. And
thanks, Dave.
You guys have a great one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Take care, man.